Half of the skins in the new Inferno and Nuke collection
Interview with the skin makers. Wait, I kind of want to see this.
are made by Valve, the other half by 3 lucky community members who kindly spoke with me about their designs.
Who is it?
I didn't want Valve to feel left out, so I offered to interview them as well, but they politely didn't. These collections have been in development since last year, so it's not like a last-minute addition or anything like that. There was a lot of back and forth between the skin makers and Valve, and plans, designs and colours changed numerous times during this period. Cozier worked on 5 of the skins from the Inferno collection, while Nuke contains 2 from Millennia and 12 from Chemical Aliyah. I assume Valve must have liked Cozier's roll cage for mass design, firstly because they picked it back then, and second because they wanted him to make more with a similar rally and old car theme. More specifically, they gave him the task of creating skins with a retro Italian racing style. Believe it or not, Cozier isn't a big fan of motorsports.
From that guy.
But his mind immediately went to the Lancia, and not the Lancia as Jeremy Clarkson pronounces it. Anyway, Lancia was a relatively small Italian company that scored victories against the Audi Quattro, a formidable 4-wheel drive vehicle. If any of you have watched Season 2 of the Grand Tour, you may have seen the episode where Jeremy Clarkson talks about the rivalry between the two companies, and the underhand tactics they used to get the upper hand in rallies. It was my favourite bit of the series, and I totally understand Cozier.
Wasn't there some drama between Elon Musk and those guys? I remember, bro. Didn't they like trash the Tesla and like fake stuff? That was some spicy drama. Do you remember? Yeah, that was sick.
It was my favourite bit of the series, and I totally understand
If
Cozier
you know,
getting his inspiration from it. So he got to work on the SG553 and dual Berettas, which were meant to be a higher quality than the rest. He based the SG553 off of the Martini racing colours, and with the dualies, he used the colour scheme from this vehicle. Cozier explained the difficulty of remaining faithful to the liveries, but without plagiarising. He had to change the logos and company names, but he knew that if he changed them too much, then the weapons would end up looking like a cheap Chinese rip-off of the vehicles in question. This would do more to upset fans of rallying than it would to please them. It was a balancing act that he spent a long time on. At one point, Valve also asked him to remove the word turbo from the design, but he explained that it was from a car feature rather than a company's logo, and ultimately, it was allowed to remain. The number 25 on the handle was not accidental. It was chosen so that, if reflected on the other side of the gun, it would still read 25.
Smart.
How about that? He also had to design 3 patterns that could be applied to any weapon. He had a lot more flexibility with these than he did with the specific weapon skins, but if anything, he found this harder. How could he portray a retro Italian rally theme in a pattern? Also, being for lower skin qualities, they had to be a little less flashy than his other designs. He made 5 to 10 patterns, but felt they would fall short of Valve's expectations. He really did struggle to come up with anything that he was happy with. It was a month or so before he got back to Valve, during which time he feared he might have been too late.
I hate the check engine.
May have been asked to create skins instead. He apologetically wrote back to them, sorry that he didn't feel he had done the task asked of him. This was the first time in his life that he had failed to think of a design. He was met with silence, and his concerns grew. Later, he proposed that he created a skin instead of a pattern. And Valve said that was a good idea. He had to create a Mach 10, P250 and SSG08 design. He started with the Mach 10, which he sent off to Valve. All they asked him to do was to change the sticker to an Inferno logo. He then made the others as well. You'll notice a checkered pattern on these. This is a reference to the glove skin, Driver Gloves, which he thinks would go nicely in conjunction with these weapons. He'd like to thank Valve and Daniel Boutwell for this opportunity and for taking the time to reply even at unusual times outside of work hours. He hopes the guys at Valve aren't disappointed in him for not being able to think up the patterns. His thinking was that the patterns would be applied to the rest of the skins in the collection, and so his failure to think them up burdened Valve with extra work. Having seen the collection, he's kind of pleased that the MP7 Fade and Bison Candy Apple were featured, as he likes those styles. Over in the Nuke collection, Millennia was given quite a bit of freedom to decide what to do with.
Has there ever been like a guy from Valve from working on CS:GO interviewed or something? Bro, I want to talk. Oh man, I would die to have to just ask some questions, man, to the guy that picks the skins or something. They're so secretive though, so secretive. We should write an email, bro. We should write an email. Emails if you don't ask, you didn't shoot your shot, you know? You can't hit a shot that you don't shoot.
The M4A1S and Tech 9.
They're not
he
allowed.
Talked with Valve about doing Bond-style gadgets, filled with buttons and features. In a bit of a coincidence,
Gaben, are you watching right now?
He also turned to cars for inspiration, looking through the older Bond movies as he liked that era's style of CRTs and monochrome LCDs. This went through quite a bit of back and forth between him and Valve. He found the experience a positive one, saying that the feedback and suggestions helped a lot. He learned from this experience that you shouldn't draw stuff on a weapon that should be dynamic, such as ammo counters. At one point his M4 featured a radar gadget, which he removed for that precise reason and because it alluded to being a gameplay device of sorts. Knowing that these skins would make it into the game, he concentrated his time on these and made them extra special. He said additional effort was easy to justify when he knew that they'd be
bro,
featured.
this skin still, it's on my mind till this day, bro. One of the coolest lenticular crafts. If you weren't there during, look how many already got crafted, 67. We talked about the skin once the once the sticker capsule came out. Chat. It is so crazy. I love this craft so much. I think this one as well, though, no? What was it? L? This chat is tripping on his stack. The guy who donated earlier today, who said, like, I love watching your stream on Zaza. Same with all of you guys, no? Jesus.
Not that he knew what these skins would be for. He assumed it would be for an operation or something. By chance, he investigated the control panels on Nuke for inspiration, before even knowing that it was for a Nuke collection. You can see Nuke's influence on the M4 in particular. The suppressor on this weapon was borrowed from his
It's
Triton
perfect,
USPS.
bro. Control panel as well. It's named control panel. Control panel. The guy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 or 8 monitors, bro, and he's controlling the he's on a panel control panel. It's so perfect. It's so annoying, bro. I swear to God.
He said that it fit the style, so why reinvent the wheel? Chemical Aliyah worked.
Did I inspect battle scat? That's probably the reason why you say L. Watch. After this, I stop with it. If you now say L again, it's just like it makes no sense. You're just trying to piss me off. Even worse, you guys are stupid.
on the patterns for the Nuke collection. This means that she can take credit for random access, coprocessor, facility negative, exchanger, motherboard, mainframe, bulkhead, facility draft coolant, facility dark, facility sketch, and mandrel. That's 12 skins, 2/3 of the Nuke collection. She didn't know what her designs would be used for. The original theme was Secret Agent, but after struggling to think up patterns for it, Valve suggested a new theme, nuclear power plants. I wonder what that could be for. With this new plan, she got to work researching iconic imagery that people would associate with nuclear power plants, and then found a style that complemented a repeated pattern and limited colour scheme. She didn't know which weapons these patterns would be used on, but since patterns are generally reserved for lower tiered skins, she kept the colours muted in most of the designs, but threw in a few patterns with more vibrancy. For each pattern, she submitted 3 to 4 colour variations to Valve. When you submit a pattern texture, you separate it into 4 different colours, so you have red, green, blue and alpha, which is normally used for glossiness or wear. This is when Valve took over, deciding which skins should be, and even what colour the pattern should be, which in some cases was different from the designs originally submitted. You can view the collections in their entirety in the videos that I've already released, where I briefly talk about each of the designs. Thank you to Cozier, Millennia and Chemical Aliyah for taking the time to talk to me, and Valve for being cool with it.
How do you even figure out who is the guy behind all this, bro? Imagine talking to one of the people, man. I would have so many questions.